Welcome to Cloud FastPath, the fastest, most reliable, most secure way to move your files where you need them to be. Maybe you're migrating to a different storage system, backing up or synchronizing. Maybe you're moving your data from on-premise to a cloud system, or between two cloud systems, or even among a complex array of systems. No matter what, Cloud FastPath makes sure your data is where you need it, when you need it, all with a simple user interface. Today we're going to show you how to move some data from a Windows on-premise file server to your Dropbox for Business account. We'll start by creating a new job here on our dashboard. We'll give this a name, Migrating Homes and Groups. And then we're in our job configuration window. Here at the bottom of the screen, we've got all of the systems that we've already configured and attached to our account, ready to use to move data around. We'll select the D drive of our Windows file server, drag that to the source area for our job, and then we'll drag the Dropbox for Business account into the target system of our job here. We'll choose where on the target system we want to move this data to as a destination folder. In this case, we're going to create a new directory so that all of our files are in a nice new empty folder for people to find them in. We'll go back to our source system here and select the files that we're actually going to want to migrate with this job. We'll see here we've got a handful of user home directories as well as some group folders here. We'll select both of those and save. Now lastly, we'd actually like to carry over the ownership and sharing policies of those files rather than just moving them all into one account. To do that, we're going to use our account mapping feature. With the account mapping, the first thing that we do is to generate a spreadsheet where we analyze all of the file ownership and permissions that exist on our Windows file server, as well as the available accounts in our Dropbox system, and provide a spreadsheet that you can use to make sure that those accounts line up, specifying which users' files go into which accounts in Dropbox. You can see here that the system is scanning that information now, computing those relationship mappings for you by default. When that completes, we can go right back into the job configuration and download that map that was produced. We'll open that up here in Excel, where we can easily work with this, especially as it may contain a large amount of data. Here we can see in two columns of our owner's sheet all of the users and groups that own files on our Windows file server, and in the target column, the Dropbox accounts that were identified. We can then make sure that the usernames match up correctly, as they should if they look similar, as you see in the case here of K-Day. But in other cases where, for example, groups own files, we need to choose who should take ownership of those on the Dropbox side, perhaps the department head or Dropbox administrator. In this case, we're just going to put all of these unknown files into the K-Day account for simplicity. In the Groups column, similarly, we see all of the groups that had files shared with them on the Windows side, as well as all of the existing groups on the Dropbox side, and we can make sure that those line up correctly. Again, where they match automatically, they're lined up, as you see here with marketing. In the case of something like engineering, where the group name differs slightly from the engineers group on Windows, we just need to quickly copy and paste that over, as well as we can provide the accounts for other groups as well. You can also specify a new group name that does not exist in Dropbox, and Cloud FastPath will create that for you automatically. Lastly, in the Permissions tab here, we can see all of the folders that were identified that have sharing policies on the Windows system. Here we can see that we had a group/engineering path, for example, that had a writable permission to the entire engineers group, which makes sense. It was also readable by the marketing and sales team. And we can see that for all of the folders and files that were shared. This allows us to easily review those permissions, make sure that they're exactly the way that we want them, modify them if we'd like, and then we save this file out. Once we've completed those modifications, we just switch back to Cloud FastPath, upload this spreadsheet, and now Cloud FastPath knows exactly how we want to move our data, what accounts we want to move it into, and what permissions should be created when we do so. We're now ready to run our job, but if, for example, we wanted to run it later, we could use the scheduling feature here on this tab to specify a future date and time to run this job, or perhaps to trigger this job based on the completion of another job if we want to create a sequence of these jobs that should trigger each other. In this case, though, we're just going to run it immediately, so we return to the dashboard. We press the play button here on our job, and everything starts moving. Importantly, with Cloud FastPath, your data is always secure. Your data never touches our servers. You see here in the points of presence diagram for this job the specific systems that are involved in this migration, the Windows on-premise system that we're extracting the data from, as well as the personal point of presence that's created in the Amazon cloud for your data to move through. This is a dedicated instance for just your data and only your data, and that data is not visible to anyone else, including Trevella. As the job begins migrating here in the scanning process, we can click on this job and see very briefly the progress of this job. We can see that some files have already started to be transferred, even though we're still scanning the systems. We're identifying what files or folders may already exist on the target, which ones may be out of date and need to be updated, or new files that should be transferred for the first time. For additional information in the progress of this job, we can go into the History tab here, and we see a nice graphical representation of our job. We can see here the rate of files being transferred, the rate of data as it's being transferred, and get an idea of any potential bottlenecks or hiccups that may be occurring. Additionally, we can look at the specific files that are being transferred right here easily from within this web interface. So we can quickly see all of the files that have been transferred, their status, as well as detailed information by simply clicking on them and getting a lot of details about the file as it's being moved. And that's it. Our job's running. When it finishes, all of our data will be there in Dropbox, and we know that it's going to show up in the right accounts and with the right permissions. Thank you for watching this video, and be sure to check out our website to hear about all the other features of Cloud FastPath.